I am here to ask the government of the United States to take a step back and to pursue a more isolationist policy. For far too long, the United States has been on the front lines of a battle to spread not just Western ideals, but our Western sense of democracy to the rest of the world. Until the early 1980s, we saw much of the world still firmly under the control of autocratic regimes. However, in the 1980s, there was an explosion of democracies across the globe that emboldened the U.S. to continue a policy of democratizing states, even through force if necessary. Since the end of the Cold War, we have seen major powers such as Russia and China move towards democracy, as well as nations across Asia, Africa, and South America. This time period seemed to prove that democracy theorists were right. A rising middle class and an increased international wealth showed this, which was indeed leading to an increase in the number of democracies worldwide. This utopian idea of everyone uniting under democracy as globalization increased in wealth and disseminated knowledge was not to last forever, and we are now beginning to witness a sharp decrease in the number of democracies. The problem lies in the fact that democracies rely on heavy checks and balances, which are oftentimes highly corruptible, and in the end give democracies a bad name. While the middle classes may have demanded a voice through democratic means, it is this same middle class which calls for undemocratic means such as coups to force governments to change. Democracies are messy and nearly impossible to not just establish but to maintain because they do not offer the same stability that an autocratic regime may offer. Even China and Russia, who have made moves toward not only capitalism but also democracy, are only acting as autocrats. With Russia in particular, they use the illusion of democracy to continue to elect and solidify the power of Vladimir Putin. This behavior is not isolated to just Russia, as is often the case when elections are being shown as fair and free. However, they are often rigged for one autocratic ruler to win. Democracies must be able to grow out of a want or need by the people of that state. In Iraq, we have seen firsthand how the forced democratization of a country can backfire and lead to a complete destabilization of the state. U.S. polls have recently shown an affinity for a more isolationist policy, and I attribute a lot of this to not just Iraq but to the Arab Spring, which was supposed to be the newest explosion of democracy, which has in time fallen flat, with some remaining democracies such as Tunisia lying on extremely fragile footing. Some states, such as South Africa, have experienced autocratic rulers in the past but have since established stable democracies. However, even these nations do little to help democratization even in neighboring countries such as in Zimbabwe. I'm not calling for the U.S. to completely abandon democracy and those who fight for it, but to instead take a step back militarily, do what worked best for us during the Cold War by supplying funds and training for those wishing to create democracy. While these backroom deals are often viewed through a negative light, they keep American boots off the ground and allow us to still support democracy. Again, democracy is great and amazing if a nation poses the stability and willingness to get through the beginning difficulty years. It promotes not only trade but also human rights, and as we continue to globalize, it is these two issues that will allow for more democracies to thrive. However, if we become more embroiled in the Middle East due to their fight for democracy, we will continue to give democracy a bad name, and in its wake the people will again call for change, only not through democratic means. Thank you.